have any obligation to speak, but if you'd like to choose to speak, now is the time to do it.
Yes, I would like to say something.
Go ahead.
I'm innocent. Fuck you all. You're garbage.
Now I imagine the people at home might be wondering, what's that about? Well, this person is currently in the process of making their last statement to the jury and the prosecutor and the judge before they are finally revealed to be the verdict of their case. Now, I'm going to give you about 15 seconds to try to guess what it is they were tried for. Starting now. Did you guess right? Well, I'm going to tell you. She is currently on trial for murdering her 6-year-old. Yeah, she killed her 6-year-old son. Now, with that little preface out of the way, on to the scheduled rant. Now that wonderfully repugnant piece of subhuman protoplasm that masquerades as a human being is Julissa Thaller. Last year, Thaller ended up winning a custody battle against her ex-partner because she decided to break down on the stand during a custody hearing. Keep in mind, her ex-partner was her son's biological father, who had turned his life around, got cleaned up, got off drugs, and found stable work so that he could take good care of his son. The man did everything right to try to be a great dad to Eli, who was the young boy whose life was unfortunately ripped away from him far too soon. But keep in mind, Julissa Thaller, I don't know why I keep trying to put an R there. But the thing is, Julissa had shot her son repeatedly and had reduced him to a bag of mangled flesh and stuffed him in the trunk of her car. Julissa had repeatedly struggled with drug abuse and mental health issues that she was not properly treating or trying to manage. She also was financially unstable and was on record as to not being able to provide a stable house for Eli to live in. Yet the judge gave her custody of Eli, despite the fact that it was on file time and time again that she was an incompetent parent who could not take care of herself, let alone a 6-year-old. Julissa's mental health issues are another glaring problem because her mental health was not examined at all. It was not properly ensured that she would take care of her mental well-being. And it's cases like this that sicken me, because it's not only the perpetrator that's responsible for what happens in these kind of situations. It's also the courtroom that gave her sole custody of Eli, despite the fact there was prior indication that she was an unfit parent. Keep in mind, social services will take a child away over an accusation that's proven to be untrue, mind you. But they will not prevent a child from being placed in a home with an unfit mother who is extremely mentally unstable, who is financially unstable, who cannot provide a proper living environment for a 6-year-old, but the judge will give her custody because she breaks down and cries on the stand, demanding for a chance. Things that should have been done differently. Step 1. She should have been made to attend drug rehab. She should have been made to find a stable living to make sure that she could actually support herself and her young son. The third, and this is the most important, is that she should have been properly examined in terms of her mental health. She should have been properly diagnosed and given the proper treatment, instead of just being completely laissez-faire about the fact that everything that she did posed an imminent threat to her son. It's cases like this that point out why it is I don't have a lot of positive thoughts about the family court system. Because in this particular case, you have a father that did everything right to try to turn his life around for the sake of his son, just to have his son ripped away from him by his son's own mother in a horrendous act of violence. And keep in mind, like you saw in the clip at the start of this, she's completely non-repentant. No regret at all, no remorse, not a shred of difference to how she feels. She's completely indifferent to the fact that she literally tore her own son to pieces with a 12-gauge slug 9 times. Now, a person cannot argue that this is just a spur-of-the-moment thing, because he was shot 9 times. If it's an accident, you could argue that it was just a horrific accident, but 9 times. According to the newspaper that covered this, the shotgun involved was a 4-slug tube. That means she unloaded a whole tube of cartridges into him, reloaded another full tube, shot that into him, reloaded a quarter of a tube, and shot that into him, before she decided to pick up what little bit remained of his mangled body and dumped it in the fucking trunk of her car. And the fucking gall, the sheer unmitigated audacity to say, you're all trash and fuck all of you. Bitch, you're the one that killed your own son. For no reason at all. There's no justification or excuse for anything that you fucking did. What are you trying to do? Be the next Casey Anthony? Yeah, see how that got you. Like, you ever it sickens me because you see people that try to do the best for their children, who want to create good living environments for their kids to fucking live in, and they are fucked out of having their children in their lives because of something they did 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or 30 years ago, where they might have gotten into a drunken argument with the kid's father or mother and threw something. Like small stuff like that that's not SA or anything like that, that will automatically become grounds to not have custody or even visitation of a child. But people like this are allowed to have custody of their children while openly displaying that they are an unfit parent, and the court system has literally nothing at all to fucking say about it, except for, we're bad. Honestly, the fucking dipshit judge who gave this asshole custody of that child should be charged for negligent homicide. Because really, it was their negligence, it was their own inability to consider all the variables of the situation that got this boy killed. This is why the court system kind of sucks in regards to family court, because they will literally give anyone custody so long as they break down and cry, so long as the person isn't a sex offender. Like, why is that the only red mark that should make it whether or not someone adopts a kid or retains custody of their child? Another thing you gotta look at is mental health. If someone's a paranoid schizophrenic and they're on the edge of killing someone every other day, they probably shouldn't be allowed to have their children in the household unless, and this is a very big unless, they are properly medicated, properly being treated, and they are actually able to differentiate reality from those delusions. If not, they probably shouldn't have anyone else in the household who they might be a threat to. That's why most people with that kind of disorder are unfortunately placed in live-in facilities, because it's the only way to make sure they won't hurt someone else or themselves. But in conclusion, yeah, fuck this bitch. I hope they throw the fucking book at her. Like, apparently she's gonna be spending the rest of her life in prison. She's gonna have a really good time in there, considering all the mothers in there that will never be able to see their fucking children, who would want nothing more to spend time with their kids, but know that they'll never be able to because of a murder trial involving an abusive partner or some sort of drug-related dispute. But nevertheless, it's gonna be really great to see just how quickly this bitch is gonna get stabbed in prison. Fuck this asshole, fuck the judge that gave her custody, and fuck anybody who would defend this asshole. And just like that, I'm just another asshole on the internet. See everyone later.